Anne Frank, her strength and bravery through one of the darkest times in history. Background. Anne Frank was born in 1929 in Frankfurt, Germany. She lived with her parents, Otto and Edith Frank, and her older sister, Margaret. Before her life in hiding, Anne was a normal Dutch schoolgirl who enjoyed riding her bike, visiting shops, and going to the cinema. Her father owned his own business and made a steady income for the family. He also sold herbs and spices on the side to compensate for the economic struggles they were experiencing at the time of Hitler's power. Her father began to realize quickly that there was rising danger in Germany for the Jews. With the rise of Hitler and the surrender of the Dutch army, he needed to relocate his family somewhere safe. The Frank family moved to the Netherlands in 1933 to try and escape the dangers in Germany and persecution of the Jews. Anne and Margaret were still very young. For Anne's birthday in June of 1942, she received her infamous red and white checkered diary. She took much pride in it and called it Kitty. This diary is what is now known as the biography, Diary of Anne Frank, or Diary of a Young Girl, which I read. She wrote in it while hiding in the annex, and it was eventually found in the remains of the family's items after they had been found and taken to camps. This day that she received the diary was the same day that her sister Margaret got a letter calling her to a labor camp. This is when Otto knew that they had to hide. The Frank family went into hiding in their secret attic in Otto's old work building, known later as the Annex. The Annex had the four Franks, Armand, Augusta, and Peter Van Pels, and Fritz Pfeffer, the dentist. They stayed here for 2 years. The people that were hiding in the Annex were discovered in 1944 by German officers. It's still unknown today as to whether they were ratted out by someone who knew they were hiding, if they were hurt, or if it was just an important situation. They were given 10 minutes to get only necessary items and leave. They were all sent to concentration camps, and all of them except for Otto died within a year and a half. I chose the word strength for her character trait, which coincides with the word bravery. One of the most admirable things about Anne Frank was the strength and bravery that she showed during her time on Earth. From being persecuted in her daily life to being forced into a small attic with strangers and being taken as a child to a concentration camp where she fought for her life and eventually lost the battle, she never gave up. Back at home, before she went into hiding, there were many restrictions for Jews, and that were similar to the ones going on in America during the era of segregation. Jews had an earlier curfew than everybody else. They had their own schools, bathrooms, neighborhoods, etc., parks. Lots of places were off limits to Jews after Hitler came to power as well, like cinema, shops, restaurants, and more. But Anne didn't let that stop her. She found joy in little things like bike rides on sunny days, hanging out with the boys she liked at school, or talking to her sister about the world. She never showed her fear or her anxiety. During life in the Annex, after they went into hiding, she stayed strong for her mother and father. She knew that they were worried and had a lot to deal with, and she tried her best to be helpful and support them just as much as they were supporting her. She had trouble at first with always being patient and kind with the people in the Annex, but she overcame her issues and made it work. At one point, she began experiencing nightmares about being taken, and although they terrified her, she overcame her fears and stayed brave. Hearing the sounds of bombs being dropped and the screams of people in the night while sitting in the Annex was not a lot to take on, and she couldn't react without being heard, but she did it, and she made it work. And although little is known about her life in the camp, we can only assume that the strong little girl that tried so hard to make life worth living in the real world did the same thing while sitting in the darkest places ever been in. Anne Frank passed away from disease in Bergen-Belsen camp in February of 1945, the same camp that her sister was also located at and passed away at. Her incredible strength and bravery still shines through today and reminds us that good can be found in the darkest times, only if we remember to shine the light. The actual annex she hid in is located in Amsterdam and is renovated for tourists to enter and experience what it would have been like for her and her family back in 1942. Anne Frank's incredible strength and perseverance should inspire everybody today to fight no matter how hard the battle, and that you can always stay positive in hard situations. This is a tribute to the people that passed away, her family, her mother and sister, their friends of Anne Pell's family, and the dentist Fritz Pfeffer. When they all died and how they all died. And then eventually Anne Frank died in 1945 of typhus.